Hello friends, welcome to my channel Clinical Biochemistry with Dr. PK Prabhakar. Today we are going to talk about another inborn unit of metabolic disorders, and we will talk today is about cystinuria. Cystinuria is a disease which is related to cystine metabolic process, cystine abnormality related to cystine. Cystine is nothing, it is a sulfur containing non-essential amino acids. You know that we are having in our body there are two amino acids which contain sulfur. One of other means other than cystine, another amino acid which contains sulfur is methionine. The sulfur present in cystine and sulfur present in methionine both are slightly different. We have already discussed about those amino acids. So the sulfur which is present in cystine is a type of SH group, that is we are going to call sulfhydryl group, whereas the sulfur which is present in methionine, that is of thioester type of things. So that is the basic difference between cystine and sulfur. The cystinuria, which is a disease, as its name suggests, it is related to urine disorders. So in this cystinuria, the abnormality is the cystine is going to excreted in high amount in the urine. This cystinuria is one of the most common inborn metabolic disorders. It is not the most common, but one of the most common, as its prevalence rate is roughly 1 in 10,000 birth. So if you'll see here, this is cystinuria is an autosomal recessive inheritance disorders. We will talk in details what is autosomal recessive inheritance disorders. In this condition, in case of cystinuria, it is characterized by the buildup of amino acid cystine, not normal cystine. This is single amino acid. This is amino acid alone. So this is my cystine. So this cystine is a single amino acid. When two molecules of cystine joins together through a disulfide bond, we are going to get cystine. So this cystinuria is a disorder which is related to this dimeric cystine amino acid. So it is related to cystine, not cystine. So in this cystinuria cases, this amino acid is normally build up. It is going to be accumulated into the kidney. It is not going to be reabsorbed back, so that it will be stored into the kidney. It will be accumulated into the kidney or the bladders, urinary bladders, and there it is normally going to cause some certain kind of complications. Now we'll see how this is going to happen. The basic process of urine formation is this is the picture of glomerulus, how urine is going to form. So for urine formation, basically three different processes is going to be responsible. First process is which is going to happen at the glomerulus Bowman's capsule, that is called as ultrafiltration. So maximum undesirable substance, unwanted substance, or sometimes unknowingly wanted substance, also useful substance, also going to be filtered out into the Bowman's capsule. So it will come into the this loop of Henle, proximal convoluted loop of Henle. But whatever useful substance has been filtered out here, that will be reabsorbed back. So that because it is useful for our body, so it will be reabsorbed back into the blood circulation. That is called as reabsorption process. This is one of the most important process by which we retain the most of the useful substance which is present here, and that will be taken back. Like glucose, which is going to be filtered out here, but glucose will be reabsorbed back. So normally, as a healthy human being, no glucose is going to be excreted into my urine, because almost all the glucose is going to be taken back into the blood circulation. Similarly for amino acids, most of the almost all the amino acids we are going to reabsorb back. Bicarbonate, so normally we don't excrete bicarbonate, it will be absorbed back. So that is reabsorption process. And third is any undesirable substance if left out here for the filtration process, so that will be secreted back to the loop of Fenley by secretions. This process is called as tubular secretions. So these are the three important processes by which we are going to have a proper concentrated urine formation. So the excretion, whatever urine we are going to excrete, that is filtration, whatever we are going to filter here, minus the reabsorption, what we are going to take back, plus secretion. So ultimately we are having a urine formation will be there. Here for the cystine also, normally we are going to reabsorb back. So as a normal human being, cystine will be taken back into the secretion by reabsorption process. In the case of cystinuria, we are having a defect in this reabsorption process. So the cystine which is filtered out here will not be reabsorbed back. So their concentration is going to be accumulated into the loop of Henle or into the kidney. So that we are going to see it. We'll see the detailed mechanism. The inheritance pattern for the cystinuria, it's not cystine, it's cystinuria, is autosomal recessive inheritance is there. What is autosomal recessive inheritance? Like if you will see for parents, father is having two genes, mother is having two genes. For time being, just assume this type of this purple color means it is a carrier, means one of the allele which father is having, that is defective. Similarly, one of the allele which mother is having a defective. So mother is also carrier, father is also carrier. Now once they will have a kind of crossing, so if and this disease is because it is a recessive disorder, so that's why we require both the defective allele to disease to be expressed. So if this allele is coming from father and this allele is coming from mother, so if a child is having both the alleles, both the defective alleles, one from father and one from mother is coming, the child will be affected, means child will have a disease will be expressed. Like if you see in case of this one, in these kids, only one allele is defective, other allele is normal, that is unaffected. So this child will be carrier because disease will not be expressed. Why? Because the occurrence of the disease we require both the alleles. Why? Because it is recessive. If it would be dominant, then even single allele is going to be expressed. But because it is recessive, so it is requires both the alleles, one from father, one from mother. That is going to happen only in this case because they are having both the alleles. So this child will be affected. Rest this one and this one will be carrier. What is autosomals? We are having two types of chromosomes. All the chromosomes can be divided into two categories. One is sex chromosome, second one is autosomes. So this type of defect is related to associated with the autosomal portion of the chromosomes. So that's why we are going to call autosomal recessive disorders. Now we'll see cystinuria. As the kidney going to filter and creates urine, which we have already seen it, cystine and cystine, both amino acids, either single or it will be disulfide bond cystine, is normally reabsorbed back into the bloodstream. But because of the defect in the transporter systems, the proteins, the system, the transporter which reabsorb back cystine and cystine, that transporter is defective. So people with cystinuria cannot properly reabsorb back cystine into the bloodstream. So this amino acid is going to accumulate into the urine. So urine becomes concentrated. The specific transporter which is defective here, which is unable to reabsorb back, that transporter is not only reabsorb back cysteine, but it also reabsorbs other amino acids, other either cysteine or ornithine, arginine, and lysine. So the transport system which reabsorb normally cysteine is responsible for the reabsorption for other amino acid also. Those are ornithine, arginine, and lysine. So you can remember it, COAL, coal. Coal means the four amino acid can be reabsorbed back by the single system. In the cystinuria cases, cystinuria, the carrier system becomes defective. Carrier system is the system which reabsorb these four amino acids, leading to the excretion of all these four amino acids into the urine because it cannot be reabsorbed back. So it will be accumulated into the loop of Henle and from there it will be excreted. Because it is going to be excreted into the it is going to be retained into the kidney, so urine becomes more concentrated, and once it will be more concentrated, it is going to cause other complications also. Like this is the picture. This is a kidney without cystinuria, means it is a kidney of a normal person. So we are having a transporter. This is a transporter which transports coal, cysteine, then ornithine and arginine and lysine. This is also a transporter. So normally these are cysteines which is going to be reabsorbed back into the blood circulation. This is my loop of Henle and this is my blood circulation. So from loop of Henle, it will be reabsorbed back after the filtration. So filtration has been done here, and then these cysteines will be reabsorbed back as a normal human being. But in this case, this is kidney with the cystinuria disorders. So in this case, this transporter is defective. So these cystines are not going to be reabsorbed back. So it will be retained into the urine. So urine becomes more concentrated for this cystinuria. So cystine is going to be accumulated into the urine, and urine becomes more concentrated. So cystinuria is characterized by inadequate reabsorption of cystine and other dibasic amino acids. What we have seen, lysine and arginines are the basic amino acids. So they are having one extra NH2 groups. That's why they are dibasic amino acids. So in this case, because the cold transporter is defective, which is unable to transport cysteines and other amino acids, but why only cysteine is going to form crystals? Yeah, that is going to deposited, because it is cysteine is going to form crystals. Others will not form crystals. That is, we'll see it. So as urine becomes more concentrated, having more cysteine, the excess cysteines, which is relatively insoluble, forms crystal and leads to cystine stones. So the one of the drawback, one of the defective, one of the abnormality which is going to happen in this cystinuria cases, people will have cystine stone in their kidney, in their bladders. Why only cysteines? Because the defect is regarding the 4 amino acids. So it is regarding about the cysteine, ornithine, arginine, and lysine. But these three does not form crystals. Only cysteine is going to form crystals. So only cysteine is going to form a stone. Other three are not going to form stones. Rather, defect we are having for all the 4 amino acids. So sometimes this cystine crystal combines with calcium molecule also and form a bigger components, bigger stones. So these large stones is going to form only because when cystine amino acids is going to combine with calcium molecules. Cystinuria is usually identified a specific test that is called as cyanide nitroprusside test. We will see there are some other tests also by which we can diagnose. So how to diagnose cystinuria is, the first we can do blood test. So that is routine hemogram test. Hemogram means almost all the tests for the blood like CBC, different other blood counts, blood sugar, urea, and the creatinine. These are different tests which will give me a hint, give us some kind of indication about cystinuria. Then we can go for the specific cyanide nitroprusside test, which is a specific test for the sulfur presence in the urine. So urine we will do nitroprusside test. Third, we can go for ultrasound or CT scan, which will tell me if a stone is cystine type of a stone or other type of a stone is present in the kidney or it is not present. Then we can go for genetic analysis, where we will see any kind of defect in the genes are there or it is normal genes are there. So by these 4 different types of tests, we can identify cystinuria is there or it is not there. How this cystinuria can be managed, how it can be treated. The first, this treatment includes restricted diet, restricted ingestion of a dietary cystine, and high intake of fluids. Normally, for all the stones, whenever we are talking about kidney stones or any other kind of stones, cystine stones or calcium phosphate stone, calcium magnesium phosphate stone or oxalate stone, in any kind of stones, this high intake of fluid is recommended. Why? Because if we'll take more amount of water, more urination will be there. So there might be possibly that a small stone size will be small. It can be excreted with the flow of water, flow of urine. So diet should be restricted, for the less amount of cystine should be taken and high amount of fluid should be taken by the patient. Other treatments are adequate hydration. I already told you. Urine can be alkalized. So urine can be alkalized by giving them potassium citrate or acetazolamide. So these two are the component which will normally going to make urine alkaline. So once urine will be alkaline, the cystine salt will not form, cystine crystal will not form. Other than this alkalizations, there are dietary modifications for the reduction in the salt and less protein intake, especially methionine has not been taken. Why? Because methionine is ultimately going to be converted into cystine. So because methionine we are getting from the diet, so methionine is our essential amino acid, and cystine we are getting from methionine. So cystine is non-essential amino acids. If this all process, either hydration, alkalizations, or dietary recommendations, dietary modifications, is not able to restrict the cystinuria or not able to treat cystinuria, then we can go for chelation test, where we are going to take some kind of molecules, some kind of component which will bind with cystines and not allow them to pass out into the urine. So that is called a chelation theory. It will chelate those cystines. So two important molecules which we are going to for chelation, that is penicillamines and theopronines. So this is the structure of penicillamines. This is the structure of theopronine. These two are structurally and physiologically, their pharmacological effects both are working in the same fashion and doing the same process. Penicillamine we are using for some other metals, other elements chelation also. Whenever we are having metal toxicity, we are going to use penicillamines and theopronine for the chelation therapy. This is the summary of the treatments. So whenever we are having cystinuria, it is a kind of amino aciduria. Sorry, it is a kind of amino aciduria. What is amino aciduria means? Amino acid in the urine. So sulfur containing amino acid is going to be excited. So it is a cystinuria. This is cystine is present in the urea. How it will be treated? So first either use some treatment so that it will be dissolved into, so a stone will be dissolved by hydration or by passing out some kind of more amount of water will be taken, or we can take some kind of alkylating agent that I have already told you. We can take potassium citrate, or we can take acetazolamide, or we can go for chelation therapy where penicillamines or theopronines can be taken. And other things is, if you will take all these things, so the cystine in the urine will be reduced. So it will, because it will chelate, so that will not pass out into the urine, and it can be tested for the cyanide nitrochloride diagnostic test. So this is all about cystinuria. Hope you have understand it. If you have any query, any comments, you can write in the comment box. If you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.